how groups make decisions. I'm confident in this group and fascinated by it, both at once. I want to know all of you, and I have two goals today. One is to make sure that each one of you is heard. And Rob, am I loud enough?
I have them on, but you're perfect even without mine.
But everyone else.
Yes.
Okay, so let's all keep in mind that we want to be heard, and I want to make sure each of you is heard. My second goal is to prepare you by working with you to create a workable vision of what's ahead. We're going to make space for everybody, including the audience. And in this case, the audience is not only whoever is going to watch the meeting afterward, but also anyone who reads the paper, anyone you talk with, anyone at the school. So we have a much bigger audience than we're always aware of. And we want them to hear us too. So in order to do that, the only ground rule is that we're going to try to keep our words calm. Because we may hit some areas where we disagree. In fact, I hope we do. But when we do, we're going to do it calmly. I know, spoils the fun, doesn't it?
Everybody's looking at him.
All right, so there are three conditions in which really good work happens from groups. One is inclusivity. You want everybody in that wants to be in. Do you feel like everyone who really wanted to be in this room got here?
Yes,
Was there a way people could ask to be here?
people have plenty of opportunities to.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. The second one, and you'll be hearing me go back to this over and over, is space for everyone to be heard. And the third one is to recognize that tough problems do have solutions. And this one does. When I called my mentor to talk with her about how to do this meeting to the best of my ability, she said, "What do you know about this group? Can they solve it?" And I said, "Absolutely. This is a hard problem, but this is a group of the people who care about it. And if anybody can solve it, you can. And we really don't have a choice, right? It has to get solved. So we'll do it. And for tonight, and for as long as you want me to be, I'm on the team too. Okay. So that means that everything we need to solve this is in this room. We don't have to go looking anyplace else. We don't have to go grabbing anything else. Each one of you is contributing so much background, experience, intelligence, commitment. The fact that you're here says you're committed. So we're going to be able to get this solved. Do you want me to pause for a minute for you to get something in? Or shall I go on?
Okay, yeah. We're good on this.
Dave?
We're good on this. We're gonna continue to add people as they show up. and,
Okay.
Go from there.
Okay, so if you don't mind, we'll go around for introductions, but I'm going to add a component to it. And it's called looping. Now, did anybody get to read the book? No? Okay, fine. So you're all starting in the same place. This is a concept that you can find described in the book High Conflict by Amanda Ripley. And that's one of the resources I'm using for tonight. I should say that I've been doing this for 30 years or so. So I've also been to a lot of trainings. I depend on a lot of online people as well as mentors, and I'm going to bring you everything I can from that also. So what's looping? Looping is a way of learning how to listen to each other. We all assume that we hear each other routinely. But have you ever been not really heard? Maybe by your kids, maybe by a spouse, maybe by someone you thought was your friend, who just, you're saying it and they're not hearing you. Yeah, okay. So looping is a way of practicing that and making sure it happens. And if we get into any tangles as we go along, we're going to stop and loop on it. And this is, it's one of those little things where you say afterward, gee, I didn't know there was going to be a gimmick to it. But this is our gimmick for tonight, is looping. So here's how it goes. I want to tell you about myself, but I want you to hear what I say. So when I finish telling you, I'm going to ask you what I said, And your job is to say it back to me in any words you want, but also to ask me at the end of that whether you got it right. And I'll tell you. Okay. So. My name is Beth. I am here because I love problem solving. In fact, I read mysteries all the time because I like to solve those problems too. And my strength is that I've worked with so many different groups and taken so many trainings that I can help groups plan and I know the how of it. So what do you think I said?
Your name is Beth,
Mhm,
like to solve problems.
mhm.
I'm on the spot.
Okay,
You've
I'll
been
say-
through lots of training to learn how to help solve problems.
Yeah, yeah, I feel like you really heard me. Thanks. Okay, your turn. Do the same thing for the person next to you. Give her your name and why you're here and what your strength is that you're contributing.
Hi, my name's Sean. I'm here to help facilitate new school or renovations to the school. And been doing it for over 30 years. So pretty good at it.
Great. This is Sean, here to help facilitate the discussions around the building project. And he's been in this field for 30 years.
And did she get what you said?
Yep, you got it.
All right.
Okay, your turn. Pass it along.
All right, Clayton. My name is Molly.
She was like, gee, I know Molly a lot.
I called you last week. I'm on the school board and I'm here because I care about the students in our school, our community, and finding solutions that everyone can be part of.
That's Molly. She cares about things. I know this because she didn't have to tell me. I know this because she tells me all the time. And she cares about a solution to this problem that she's been looking for a long time. And if she doesn't get heard by me, I don't know what else to do. And she and I.
Mona, do you have a particular strength you're contributing?
Oh, let's see. I've done a lot of community work, working with people and making sure people feel heard. So I would say listening and empathy.
Okay, so what's Molly's strength?
And absolutely.
Okay, your turn.
My name is Clayton. I stood on the school board because you asked me, do you think you should run for the school board? And I didn't have the correct answer not to. I've had kids in the school for years. I like to know things. I like to help. And this problem is difficult.
And what's your strength that you're bringing to this?
Hopefully I don't bring my strength to this, which is talking over other people. My strength is talking, my strength is talking forcefully and other people having to stop, then stop talking. So I want to try to not bring my strength.
Right. Clayton, so you are one helpful individual. You're committed to the school. You have had kids in the school for quite a while. You are willing to listen to all voices, even though you have a powerful voice of your own.
Got it.
Nicely done. And you got what you said, right?
We're cheating here. Me and this one are cheating too.
Just remember, there's students who are gonna hear this.
Right.
All right, Dave.
You're around the camera here. So Dave, this is now, as of February 9th, is my 5th year as principal, the middle school and high school. I am excited to continue to work with this community. I am excited to work with this community in a variety of different roles that get students involved in their own learning and engage kids. I'm also very realistic about the financial concerns that schools face and the financial concerns that towns face. And so I'm really committed to finding a solution that's going to work for our kids and work in this learning environment, and also work for this town.
Right. This is Dave. He's been the principal here for 5 years and is excited about being a part of the school and a part of solutions. He's committed and understands both what the students and teachers need, but also the realities of our town. Did I get it?
Sure good.
Do you want to finger a particular strength in that, Dave?
I think a strength that I have and I bring is to be able to see the good in a lot of different viewpoints and pull from everybody's perspective.
Do you want me to repeat that?
Yes, please.
Its strength is to see a lot of different viewpoints and different perspectives.
Nicely done.
Hi, I'm Katie. I'm here because I'm passionate about public education in this town and community and everyone that is involved in it. And my strength would probably be staying focused and being able to get things done, follow through on projects.
Okay, awesome. So this is Katie, and her passion is public education and community and all the students and the people involved, and she wants to be a part of this and really help the cause. And her strength, as we've already seen, I feel like in the circle as well, is the focus to pull people back in. So what do we have to get done? Let's stay on track.
You got it.
Good. Hello. My name is Allison Desta, and I care a lot about this community. And I really want to see us all find an answer that's going to work for everybody here. I homeschool my children, so they're not in the school here, but they have a lot of interactions with many of the students here, and my son plays soccer here. So I feel very committed and dedicated to wanting to come up with a good plan that will work for all of us.
That's admirable.
Too much, sorry.
No, that's a nice goal. Being passionate about the community, about the school, and wanting to try to please everyone, which is, that's a very hard goal.
Try to find an answer, right?
I'm not sure I got the strength though.
Oh, I think I'm just a communicator. I'm not afraid to say things. I'll say things that we need to say, and I just feel like we need to have the discussion, just honest discussions to get there. Yeah.
Discussions,
Yes, as here we are.
useful discussions.
Yeah.
Okay, Robbie.
Hi, Mary. We grew up together.
Okay, I'm very, like everyone else here, very passionate about the high school, not the high school, the whole school, the education of people, like students in particular, is extremely important. And part of my background being a CPA, which I also like problem solving. Math was my first major, and then I went into accounting. And I love to read mysteries. But and what I believe that I could bring to this whole project is a lot of analysis and looking at different options and different variables. That you have to look at everything. It's not just numbers, but you have to consider everything. You can just
Okay.
condense that.
Mary, no, you are passionate about the school, all grades, and you love to solve problems. Your strength is in math, even though you're a CPA, but your strength is in math. And you like to work with looking at math as one aspect of a broader spectrum to solve problems. And your strength is that you like to solve problems and you like mysteries.
Did you feel you were heard, Mary?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
John, the name's Rob,
I would have guessed that.
Robbie or Rob, whatever you want. And I'm an architect and I've spent my whole life solving problems because that's what architects do. They're given dilemmas and buildings and budgets, schedules, and they have to put it all together to meet a program need. And that's my strength. And and I've got roots in the school. And I believe in the school and the town. So.
Your name's Rob.
Yeah.
You're an architect. You look at problems such as budgets. But the needs of the school, and you focus that down to try to find a solution for those problems. You're passionate about Danville and you have roots in the town. And that's why you're here.
And what would you say out of that as your strength, Rob?
Problem solving. Because that's what architecture is.
Thank you.
So,
My name's John. I graduated 2 children from this high school. I have a grandson who is currently in the school, in the elementary school. I'm here because he's going to be staying in town and is going to be going to this school. And my goal is to provide, to hopefully help his school solve problems that will give him the best education he can as he moves up through the grades. I think my strength is if I look at information and do that, I will delve down and try to make the best logical decision. It may not be the easiest one, but I think facts and information most of the time lead you to a conclusion and then you have to accept that conclusion. I'm done.
Your name is John.
Mhm.
You have 2 sons that graduated from here. You have a grandson that's in school. And he'll be staying in school. You're interested in the school giving him the best education possible. And one of your many strengths is that you're able to take a problem, delve in deep, do a deep dive, you come up with solutions, even if they aren't popular.
Yeah.
And your youngest son is an Eagle Scout,
Yes,
and he drives the USS Vermont.
yes,
You play a submarine?
yeah.
I,
But yeah, I didn't hear that.
Were you well heard?
I don't even know this man. I know it well. Thank you.
My name is Dave. I graduated from Danville. I went from the 1st grade to the 12th grade, all in this building, except for the 89 complex, but this is my school. I have 4 kids that graduated from here. My wife works here. Just very much into community. You know, I care a lot about and not just myself and my kids, but to make sure that the kids around us are gonna be doing better. So I would say my strength is willingness for community service.
Okay. This is Dave. He started school here in 1st grade, graduated here. His wife works here. He has 4 children who all graduated from here. His strength is his community service. And he cares very much about the children of our community.
Were you heard?
Perfectly.
Great.
Okay, I'm gonna be easy. What John said. No, it is gonna sound similar. It's gonna be.
That's fine.
My name is Bruce. I've lived in Danville since 1991. I have 3 children, obviously all adults now, who did go to the school, graduated from the school. I have 7 grandchildren. 4 of them currently attend this school. 5th one will be coming, come this fall. The school will never be the same after that. There's gonna be 3 in July. And I served on the school board twice, once for a period of 5 years, another time for a period of 6 years. Both times I was a school board chair. So I'm very compassionate about this community, about this school. And I just think there's great opportunities at this school. We've seen some of our kids, many of our kids go on to great things, such as John Blackmore's son and a lot of other kids. So my strength is, I think, from being on the school board, I realize you have to listen to people. You want to make sure you listen to everybody, but then at the end, at some point in time, sometimes hard decisions have to be made that aren't popular. And so I believe that's a strength as well as my experience.
That'd be so short.
I can never keep it in just.
This is Bruce. He's lived in Vermont since 91. He's has. Kids that have gone through the school. He's got 7 grandchildren, 4 of them go here. He spent 11 years on the school board, and that has given him a lot of insight into the benefits of listening to people and making sure all voices are heard, but also being willing to make tough decisions at the end of that.
Were you heard?
Yes.
Good.
I'm
I can't say
Sarah.
no, she's the principal.
This is my 4th year as one of the principals here. I'm really passionate about supporting our teachers and thereby supporting our students and helping them to have the best education and create the best environment and culture that we can do. And my strength is building those relationships and listening to voices and making sure people's voices are heard.
This is Sarah. She's an amazing principal for 4 years. She is passionate about the school and the teachers that work in the school. And she, her strength is listening and.
Were you heard, Sarah?
Yes.
Good.
Brianna, you were fine.
Something else. My memory is not my friend. I'm right here. I have 2 kids that have graduated from here, 1 graduating this year, and a bunch in the school system. I'm passionate about this town. I have own a business in this town, opening another business in this town. I care about education. I want my kids to be in a safe school. My strength is, I think I'm pretty flexible. I try to listen to all sides and inform the opinion, but I also have ears in the community.
This is Rhiannon. You have 2 kids that have graduated from the school, 1 soon to be graduating. You have other kids that will be coming up through the school as well. You own a current business in the community with another one very excitingly coming up soon. And you really care about making sure that students have a safe school to be in. And your strength is being able to sort of hear all voices in the room, but also knowing that you have ears out in the community as well. So,
Way better than I think.
So you were heard? Did you feel you were?
yes, very great. I'm Melissa. I'm on the school board. I've lived in Danville for 10 years, but my family has deep roots in the history of Danville. I have an 8th grader here in the school. This school has done exactly what she needed up and through 8th grade. She has made a decision to go to high school somewhere else. And still, this school is really important to me, and it's important that the other students coming into this community have a great, amazing, and safe school to be educated in.
And your strength?
My strength is building relationships and being sort of an outside listener and coming in to sort of support disagreement when it might exist.
Melissa, you've been in town at least 10 years. You have deep family roots here. You have a daughter who's 3. Your strength is you establish relationships. And yes,
You were heard.
Yes, I was sort of thinking.
Good. Tell me about yourself.
My name is Doug. Lived in this town a long time. I've graduated 3 kids through this school. I've been involved with town things in various aspects for a lot of years, so I have a lot of interest in what happens in this town. One, I guess, strength I don't know, the strength or a distraction, but, I serve on the select board for a long time, and one of the things I always looked out for is, I tried to solve problems. But at the same time, at the end of the day, it always comes down to what you can afford. And that is one of the things that, like, realistically, it all comes down to taxpayers voting for whatever we decide. And it needs to be a realistic proposal, whatever it is. Because I fear there's a lot of people that are having trouble affording where we are right now. Not to say that none of this needs to happen, but that's distraction, whatever you call it.
Okay, so your name is Doug. You graduated 3 kids from here. You have been involved in town business, including on the select board. You care about this school. And your strength, that you're not sure is a strength, but it sounds like one to me, is that you're good at looking at the bottom line. And calling it out if it's going in the wrong direction. Did I get that?
Yep.
Okay, so I have to say, you're all really good listeners. Go for it, Clayton.
So Beck, we have some public on, but we have one member of our group that couldn't make it in tonight. His name is Lance Horn. I'd like to give him a chance to speak.
Okay.
Lance?
Hi, guys.
To me is listening.
Sorry. Here we go. Name is Lance. I have 4 kids, 2 of which have gone through Danville. 2 currently go there. One's a senior, one's in 5th grade. And I was interested in this group because I really, I care about the school, but also care about the taxpayers and the cost of the potential new school that was presented was very burdensome. So I wanted to really kind of engage in that and make sure that the school gets what it needs, but also that the taxpayers are represented accordingly. Area of expertise, I've spent the last 25 years doing direct marketing for nonprofits, which work within a very tight budget. My area of expertise is in operations management and risk mitigation. Heavy emphasis on purchasing and estimating, grown a lot of companies through outsourcing. So used to very tight budgets and cost containment. So I guess so I have a lot of problem solving abilities and working with a great diverse group of people and coming to reasonable solutions. So those are my strengths, I guess.
Thanks, Lance. Who wants to show that you heard Lance? Tell us about him.
I heard Lance.
Clayton, what did you do?
Lance has put several kids through the school. He's got a 5th grader and a 12th grader. Now he's put 2 other kids through the school. He has some years of experience, 25 in fact, working with the nonprofit groups and doing marketing for nonprofit groups. He's worked a lot with tight budgets. He has some concern in the community about the cost of the project and the representation of taxpayers.
And which one of those is the strength he's putting forward?
He says that his strength putting forward is looking at numbers and looking at tight budgets, trying to see his way through the tight budgets.
Lance, were you heard?
I was.
Good. All right, so this is already a team that knows how to listen really well. The place where that becomes a problem is if you vehemently disagree with somebody. It becomes much harder to listen to them and to have them listen to you. So if that happens, when that happens, we're going to pull back to this exercise and try it out again in a situation of disagreement. For instance, if I were to say that I read the average school construction price in Vermont is only 500 per square foot. How come this school is so far off? Have I just started a fight? Yeah, maybe.
I think you just brought up the question.
Okay. So that's gonna be one of those times when you're gonna say, hold on. I heard you and what you said was, but where's the strength in here? And are you hearing me when I talk to you? Okay, so we're gonna pull back. So I understand that you've already been talking about possibly visioning 50 years into the future, right?
We've had those discussions
You've had them. Okay,
with a limited number of people.
all right, so this should be easy. And Rob's been great to bring some my devices here, doesn't mean I can use them, but I think I can. There, my strength is figuring things out. Who wants to write on this one? Thank you. All right. You're up in space?
I was writing on this.
Yep,
Oh, okay, I thought we had more.
you can put it right up on the blackboard if you like. It has a sticky on the back of the top.
Okay, all right, the easier problem.
Okay. Nice.
Right, see that? You have eyes in the back of your head too?
My strength is not getting things straight. There you go. All right, so it's 50 years from now. You've been orbiting on a space platform and you're looking down at Danville. And what do you see in terms of the school? Is there a building here? Are there students at it? Are they K through 12? Are they award winners? What are they achieving? How are they exploring things outside? And what are they going on to after school? All right, 50 years from now. Is there a building here?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
all right, so could you jot that down for us?
Just what you asked.
You can abbreviate if you
But
want.
there is a building.
You don't
Yeah.
want to draw one?
Sure.
Art was not one of my strengths.
You're already doing better penmanship than I am.
There is a building.
Okay, what kinds of students are in that building? 50 years from now? Have you stopped being able to offer high school?
No.
Nope,
Pre-K through 12.
pre-K through 12? How many, put your hand up, how many people agree that's what it's gonna look like in 50 years?
I don't want to write that down.
Smart. How many people think it won't look like that in 50 years? And how many people are not at all sure right now?
Well, you did present
What do you think it's gonna look like in 50 years? If you're not sure and you want some other options.
Can I just clarify something really quickly? Occasionally, some of us staff like who are staff members may not respond to some of the things only because this is the community's decision. We're part of the team and we will definitely contribute to that. But at the end of the day, staff come and go. And so if you see us like not raise our hand, it does not mean we are against something. It just means we're taking a step back to let your community continue to.
Thanks for explaining that. That makes a lot of sense. So
Yeah.
you said that sometimes for a staff member, it doesn't feel appropriate to take a stand on a particular question. You want to see how the community answers it.
Correct.
Okay. Okay. Rob,
I have a question. What if there are no longer the existing grade levels? And it's a whole change in the approach on education that is aimed at the optimum development of individuals
okay.
without grade level.
Do you think that without saying grade levels, we could say kids through a certain age are here?
Yes,
Yeah.
age 18.
How many people think that kids through age 18 would be here 50 years from now? Considering what you see in the way the country's changing, the way Danville's changing.
Yeah,
I think a consensus that through age 18, kids will be here.
I think though, definitely kids as young as 3 will be here. That I
Okay.
think pre-K has been pushed really hard by the state. In 50 years, I think universal pre-K will still exist.
Okay,
Sounds like pre-K to 12.
Pre-K.
So do we want to still kids ages 3 to 18?
I think that's good, because
So-
that leaves room for what Rob suggested, that we might not have grades.
Can I add a comment?
Yeah.
I think it depends on what we invest in.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Mhm. One of the things I've heard is that if the budget is too high or too awkward, that could result in Danville's high school kids going elsewhere. Is that correct?
No.
We
No.
There's no further.
A lot of people.
Well,
saying no
I'll
to that.
clarify that because you're the school board chair, but I'll jump in. Basically, every so often it'll come up whenever there's a school issue. Oh, maybe we should call it high school. I don't think that's what this board, this committee is being tasked with. Our task is to look at what the school needs for projects. And based on, I think, looking at our enrollment, It's pretty level compared to a lot of other smaller schools that have closed or formed union schools. And I think the other issue you have is who knows what's gonna happen with the independent schools and what's going on with the legislature. If I misspoke, obviously somebody. jumped
No, I
in.
think in 50 years, it's difficult to know because a lot of the students that we teach high school to don't live in this community. They come in from this community.
Right.
And so depending on how, goes to Katie's point of what we build, what we support, can we continue to attract the students that help our high school stay open? And so in 50 years, if we haven't invested money in the high school,
Mhm.
then what we're gonna have is a bunch of dilapidated buildings with 4 and 5 kids in them.
Hmm.
And then will it be profitable to do that if we don't make an effort to invest in the high school?
And I think just to expand on that, it's not just the building, that we would have to invest in the high school programming.
In the program,
You know, we can't just keep it as is, so there's gonna be taxpayer dollars supporting programming for the high school and supporting a building for all of our students, that's how I see it.
So for the building itself, that's one thing, and programming is the other.
Yeah.
So could we say that in 50 years, you'll still be capable of hosting kids from 3 to 18?
I think you're not, I don't think you're gonna know what's gonna be needed for education at that point in time. If you look back even 20 years.
Yeah.
How much the education has changed as far as technology. I mean, I don't even know if they had computers here in 20 years ago. I mean, they should, but I don't know. So to say 50 years out, oh my goodness, that could be, we might have virtual teachers.
I hope not.
No, I mean, so, that's a little difficult.
When you're
I
done.
saw Rob's
Oh, yeah.
hand and then Allison's, yeah.
From a practical aspect, the older buildings here, you will reach, a stage of deferred maintenance. That is way more expensive than demolish and construct a new building. And the new building may not be on the old school model of structured grades and so forth. It may be more of an internet space or collaboration space.
What happens if we phrase it as Danville will be able to? Instead of necessarily a building.
Danville will be able to meet the new approach in education with buildings that are designed for that approach.
How does that fit with what you wanted to add, Allison?
Mine's a bit of a different concept, just sort of jumping off otherwise, but if you want to keep going with that, I can wait.
No, fill in yours.
Okay, so one of the things that I just want to bring to the table for consideration, especially thinking of 50 years, but maybe more like 5, 10, 15, is obviously there's this sort of big trend towards, virtual learning. And you're talking about like, are we going to be learning from an avatar? There's kids in Ethiopia in like virtual reality sets, etc. Is that what we want to see? Is that what is best for the kids? And so one of the things that I would really put out for consideration is more and more there's a trend where students are like, I live on my screen with my friends and I'm in my like chat room all the time. So can school be different? Like should school be about, yes, this is technology, this is a tool, we use it, but what about books? What about real teachers? How do we hold on to that with the trend? What about writing? Maybe we're not going back to cursive, maybe some teachers still do cursive, I don't know. But what should that look like? Because even now, like there's a school in St. Jay and my friend works there and she was like, we had such a massive struggle. Like kids weren't socializing, they're like on their computers, they're on their screens, blah, blah, blah. They're not socializing. COVID happened, everyone was traumatized. So they took the computers, they took the phones from the kids. I'm not saying this is like a reality for all, but the students are like connecting. They're connecting, they're talking, they're like, oh, I need to like re-engage with the teacher and not with my screen. So as a teacher in the Vermont State Colleges for over 20 years, I hear from my students all the time, that class is only offered online. I don't want to do online. The screen's giving me a headache. I don't feel good. Now I have an accommodation because I can't be on my screen the whole time. So part of me wonders, like, if Danville used, of course, we need these tools, all of us use them, they're technology, it's the way of the world. But there's also this thing where everyone's like, well, it's just going in that direction. You know, should we just be in that direction where everything's online and everything's digital? Kindergartners have to use how to do a test on a computer. They have to learn how to use a computer, you know, the keyboard, etc. So I think one of the things I would put out there is more and more, at least in my opinion, and hearing my students, there's going to be a need both from a parent's, I think a want, a desire from a parent's standpoint and from a children's standpoint of like, when my kids just go to school, how much are they on a screen? You know, what does that look like? How many tests are they taking? So how do we create a balance where a lot of kids are going to thrive in an environment that is, we work together, we collaborate, we're interacting with people, and we actually have like, and maybe you guys already have in place, you know, some real balance on these screens, but I think it's something we're going to have to watch for in the future as there's more, everything's online. Let's look it up online. Let's check it out online. How do we create that balance? And I just want to bring that to the picture because I think more parents and more kids are going to seek that. And I feel like Danville could be a draw if we create a space that has that balance. So
And
just
that's a
that part of
really
it.
passionate concern, Dave.
So an interesting thing about where this is going and thinking about what Allison said, what Rob said about, you know, what's education looking like, Mary alluded to it too. Up to 50% of the jobs that our kids are going to have don't exist yet. 6 years ago, nobody was making electric airplanes, and yet that's a pretty big industry growing out of Burlington right now. Things come and go, right? 20 years ago, we would be preparing kids, like talking about screens, we would be preparing kids to like learn DOS applications. Now we've thrown that all away. But I think things will come and go, whether or not they're screens or not screens, how we learn, how we communicate, how we process, it's going to be variable and flexible. And I think at the end of the day, what I see in 50 years is resilience. We need to be able to be resilient enough to continue to educate kids for the world they're living in, both here in rural Vermont and in kids who go beyond rural Vermont. And so,
So can we phrase this maybe as 50 years from now, we'll have a resilient education for all of the town's kids? Will that leave us room for the diversity?
I would replace town with region. That's the only.
Say it again,
I'd say we would contribute to a resilient education for the region's kids.
okay? Got okay for you to write down?
Yeah, I was gonna wait for John. Then
John, what do you got?
I had a quick suggestion after John.
Go for
My
it.
comment from what you said and everything is you can't do online.
You can't what?
You can't do the loop online,
Right,
zooming.
right.
So your exercise was there to connect us, so we would listen and do, and so we'd be respectful for each other. If you're zooming, you can't do that. And that's a disconnect and the same thing, and the way we interact with human beings with each other is much different than we might do if we're just typing on a keyboard and putting a post or a text or something up or an email. So I 100% agree with what you said. I just went, and I did hear you.
So John, can you give something that could be written on our 50-year list for what kind of students will be here? Looking down from space?
I'm trying to figure out what the kids in 50 years. Yeah, that's a little scary. Yeah, could be a very social grandpa too. I think the ability to listen and the ability to learn. I think the lack of what we have here is for 50 years from now, I hope that the children we have will listen to each other. That would be the thing I would say.
Got the energy to add that to the list? Children will listen to each other, students will listen to each other?
And we raise children that will listen to each other.
Wow, a lot of people have opinions to come in on this one. Clayton, and then call on someone else, please.
So whatever kind of school there is here in 50 years, there will be sports.
There will be sports,
There will be sports.
okay? Let's
And
get sports on the list.
Okay, yeah, sport. I was just music. I'm throwing this out just because I know one time we talked about 50 years, but could we? I'm just throwing this out. How about if we lower this to like 30 years?
I think we're gonna, I think we're gonna, I think that's part of the exercise. I assume that's part of the exercise.
I think.
Is that-
it's-
We offer you 25 years next.
Oh, great. Yeah, right. I'll take 25.
Right up. So let's get sports and music onto there.
I might be alive. As I said. Yeah.
Extracurricular.
I'll only be
Yeah, can
18.
you make that broader, more like
Extracurricular.
extracurriculars, so it
Okay,
could
yeah.
encompass anything?
That's, yeah, I go to sports, music, but that's.
So
The only
is,
one I was sure.
is Danville gonna be a top school in 50 years? Is this gonna be a high achieving school in 50 years?
Yes.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yes?
We want it to be.
It can be a high achieving school now, yeah.
Okay, so let's get that onto the list just so we don't lose it. And let's take a look at how 25 years differs from. And
but
we
if I
got a
could
lot
add,
to go through in 10 minutes, so let's,
but if I could add.
somebody else's turn to go up and write things down.
Oh, I thought you were going.
If I could add one more thing.
I thought you were volunteering to write things down. You want to write things down?
He wants to add one to 50 years.
That works out good.
Add one, is that the building will be a flexible building.
Flexible building.
All right, we got some corrections going on in 50.
Enhancements.
Nice,
That's what you wanted, the flexible building.
Yeah,
Yeah,
good.
they can, yeah, adapt over
you
time.
haven't got block wall. No.
So what's different about 25 years from now that the 50 years can't be?
I might still be alive.
No, seriously.
Might see something good.
On that flexibility,
Yep,
a lot of state offices tore down the walls, they put up
Oh, yeah.
cubicles so everybody could see each other and stuff like that.
Acoustic.
More, but now they're like, that's not working, boom, now they're putting up walls again, so.
Yeah.
so that happened.
And back in 1978, we had this energy crisis. And the end thing to do was to build windowless schools. And they built a few up in Alaska because of the energy. And it drove everyone crazy. It was horrible for the outcome of students, you know? And now they're putting in the windows on all those schools. I just wanted you all to know that we've been to that extreme.
Molly, you've been trying to get in on this, I think.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, just to Allison's point, that I think that connection piece is important, that I think connection, human connection to community, so I guess I would maybe add that to the 50 years too, just, I think people connecting to one another, the students, the community, making sure the students have a connection to the community, and that we foster that.
What? I see your hand, but I also want to move on the 25 years.
Mhm.
What do you see that's going to be different at 25 years than at 50 years?
Not much. The basic.
Go ahead, Mary.
No, what I was gonna say is, I was thinking back, like when my mother went to school here. And the goal was the same as it is today, is to educate the student to be able to go out and be a productive citizen of the community. The subject matter has changed somewhat, and the manner of how you teach, she obviously didn't have computers. I don't think they had a telephone. They did not have indoor plumbing. I remember her telling me that.
He was in the old school behind this brick one,
Yeah.
which was brand new.
Well, no, she was in the one room down on Penny Lane.
Oh,
But I think when you were talking about how the students are gonna be different in 50 years, they're still gonna be this same type of student, that what we're teaching will probably be different subject matter, but there'll still be a core that in order to make that student go out into the public and become a productive citizen. And as far as the school, what Rob was, is making it as adaptable as possible. I just look at this building as 4 walls, and whatever's inside should be, movable. If we need a bigger room, blow out that wall, make that room smaller or something. I keep coming back to, I did a lot with commercial real estate investors. And you'd have people come in, they take a whole floor. And they just gut the whole thing and build it out to what they wanted. Then maybe 10 years later, someone else would come in. And I see that similar to here in 10 years, what you have needs to change. I think some of it was the pre-K. The school, the rooms are just not. They don't even begin to accommodate what they should.
So let me give you a jump start on 25 years. 25 years from now will be 2048. Do the math right? Okay. Climate change may have actually come and collapsed. Climate refugees may be more frequent. We may have more people in Danville who have an original language that's not English. We may have more colors of skin than we have right now. Right? Are any of those going to affect the way that school happens? Go, Clayton.
I think it's probably gonna be mandated by that point that there is a much lesser ratio of teachers to students or staff to students, that there'll be more, we'll be paying for more educators in the building.
Does everybody agree?
The student ratios are gonna be lower. And it's,
That there might be more educators per student in
No.
25 years?
I don't think we're gonna get to pick. I think those are gonna be a lot of mandated positions.
Is there going to be a building?
Most of the existing ones will have reached their end of life, right, Sean?
Well, yeah.
So can we agree there'll be a new building by 25 years from now?
50.
Definitely a different look.
Yeah.
Either a new building.
New or
like
remodel,
what Amber said.
Or part of it replaced?
Right, we just got it.
A changed building?
Right.
How's that?
Half as old as this one.
Oh, well, the 50-year building will be a new building.
And
The 25-year building
It is
will
possible
either
the
be,
project we're working on might be this building,
that's right.
possible.
Can you find a way to put that onto the list?
It might not be the same color or size or stories or something like that, but
It might be a giant year.
it might be a giant here.
Lots of nerds.
Any suggestion that there will be more teachers per student,
I mean, we're staff per student.
more staff per student?
It's financially feasible.
And the thing is,
I don't
this
think it matters.
building here might be,
I think they're gonna make.
might be 5 stories
I
high.
think more people are gonna make.
This one building here might be, 1 story, but
I know you have to go.
It might
You're
be.
delegating Dave to
but
do the next exercise for you,
lower.
okay? And anything that you didn't get to say, you'll let us know about?
Sure.
Okay, good, thank you.
Thanks, Jared.
Okay, so back on staff? More staff per student?
Could I maybe offer a tweak to that?
No.
That there'll be adequate staff to meet the needs of the students to be educated in the best modality that works for them,
According to state guidelines.
according to state guidelines.
You know, wow, that's a lot.
Yeah.
I think it's perfect adequate staff. If
Adequate
it's
staff?
mandated more, or you don't need as many, but it covers everything.
Will it do? Okay,
Or we abide by the state guidelines regardless, whatever the state tells us to do, we're gonna do.
and so we say that for the rest, it will pretty much look like the 50-year school?
But I think it's important to me, anyway, I don't know how the rest of the group feels, but the second part of that is to meet the needs of the students to learn however best works for them. It might not be consistent for everybody, but it's gonna be sort of a more individual approach to learning.
Thanks for bringing that up. Okay,
I've got a question, which
go
maybe
Rob.
in 25 years. We expressed the concern about the effect of the COVID and Zoom on the interaction, on the human interaction. I think, but you always get the pendulum swings back and forth, maybe slow. I think we'll get a reaction over the next 20 years, to more stress on the human interaction between the students and instructors and the community, more kind of strengthen those interactions.
That goes to Allison's point. That's the same, similar to what Allison was saying, that
Could I say that you're saying that in 25 years we'll be even more interdependent than we are now?
Not independent as much as listening and hearing each other. In the loop. Oh, yeah.
Why is that gonna happen in 25 years and not in 5 or 10?
Good question. Well, I think it will swing in that opposite direction. That far probably.
Okay, I think that's reasonable. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna put the 10 sheet and the 5-year sheet up on the board. And I'll move the marking pens over there. Everybody's gonna get something to eat, drink, whatever you want. Ecology break, I think, is the new term. And while you're circulating, go up to the board and add what you want to add. And later on, we can cross them off if we need to. We get into a really big argument, but for now, let's get them onto the board. Things that are going to change, things that are going to change in 5 years. If climate has changed as drastically as they say, will the way that we heat our buildings change? Will the fact that we have buildings change? There's a 10-year sheet. Thank you. 5-year sheet. Oh. And here's some more markers.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
It looks green, but there is yellow chalk all over that.
Ooh. All right, so grab something to eat if you choose, something to drink. Scribble on the boards if you want. Grandparents, teachers. Is there anything else I've missed in that? Parents, grandparents, teachers,
Graduates.
alumni, right?
our
But
professionals.
who else has a stake in the school?
Well, community,
Community,
yeah, and most of us in here are also community members.
okay?
We live in the community.
taxpayer, yeah, we're taxpayers, yeah.
Taxpayers?
By and large, students though.
Okay.
Hmm.
I
Students hold
want
the state, but
to,
not much of a say.
I want to break down the school part a little bit more. Because some of these are going to be important when we talk about what kind of building you're going to get. And I want to say that among some of your stakeholders are paraprofessionals. The people who are working one-on-one with kids who need some extra assistance. I want to say that bus drivers are among your stakeholders. You mentioned to me, Clayton, that one consideration was to use buildings in different parts of the town.
But
How would bus drivers handle that?
But
At what point would the bus drivers have to get in on the decisions? Okay? So stakeholders, you are right on it. How about maintenance people?
I was listening.
You are good. How about maintenance people? Right? If the building has to change how it's being heated, if you have to have a miniature nuclear power plant, and I understand that within the next 10 years, it might be possible to have one the size of a closet. What kind of maintenance staff are you gonna need? How fast are the current maintenance people gonna walk off the job when they see a nuclear power plant coming?
Nice.
What else? Who else is at the school that we haven't touched when we say teachers, students, paraprofessionals,
Retired people.
retired people? Get it on there. Retired people are certainly gonna feel the tax changes.
People that work in the cafeteria.
Thank you. Cafeteria,
Your administrators. people that teach
Administrators? Good,
Those who are non-resident property owners.
okay, can you
Well, that's
compress
taxpayer
that so it
fees.
can get scribbled?
Yeah, but that rate is.
It's different.
So it's like residential taxpayers and non-residential
Right.
taxpayers.
Okay,
Non-residential doesn't
Someone
say.
from Connecticut owns a house on Miller's Pond.
Non-residential, it doesn't
okay,
say.
Well, they don't, yeah.
what about Marty? What's the category Marty's in for this?
Oh,
Businesses, yeah.
It's literally now.
Yeah, he's in all of those,
And he's retired.
okay, so can we get businesses onto there?
Kind of.
got it.
You got it, all right.
Also, Marty's a big donor too.
Good. All right, would you say that St. J Academy has a stake in how the school is functioning?
Yes.
I would think so. 'Cause we
Linden
compete.
Institute?
Well, if our programs begin competing. Yes,
Or the opposite,
But
Rob,
even
or the
or
opposite.
the opposite.
Or the opposite? There was a
Or they,
the Academy offered to fund Blue Mountain. It wasn't accepted, but they offered. Okay. Would the Academy want to help fund keeping Danville in the school business?
I don't know about.
There was a discussion, quite a while back, and we actually went to, Headmaster Lovett's. And he gave us a tour around the, St. J Academy. It was incredible, and his opinion is, we need a school like Danville to exist, because not everybody, this type of education doesn't fit everybody. Some kids will only thrive in a small town educational system, which is what we got.
So can we put other schools as a stakeholder?
Yes.
You are on it. All right, what about where the kids go after school? I don't mean daytime, I mean after graduating.
In college?
Yes.
Trade school?
Yeah. So colleges and trade schools?
Let's say families in other towns in our region, because they send their students here.
Okay, good one.
have you got a lot who are in gap years here? After school, you have a lot that go in the gap.
I'd say there's a strong increase in gap years, especially in the last few years.
So maybe that's a whole area.
So how do you
You know,
want
to
to put that on
address,
the list?
To have a good experience in the gap year. To give them direction of what direction they want to go.
How does that become a stakeholder?
Probably staff that would explore those options before they graduate, in other words, to make a plan for your gap year.
And graduated students.
So maybe we're talking guidance,
Guidance.
okay?
Well, you mentioned businesses earlier. I mean, you may have someone that's interested in a particular field, but not sure they want to go to college yet to get that major. So maybe they work at a particular business. Or join a fire department, if they want to be a full-time firefighter. Obviously in Vermont, there's only certain places where you can do that and get paid. You know, most of our firefighters volunteer or law enforcement, something like that.
So are those stakeholders? The fire department, law enforcement? How can we sum that up?
First responder.
There you go. First responders?
What about vendors that provide services outside independent vendors that come in here and they're gonna be books, you know, whatever it is that the school needs that can't be developed here
Mhm.
needs to be brought in,
Mhm.
and they'll be a fund.
Good call. Okay, so this is a lot of stakeholders. We can't fit them all in this room. And only 3 or 4 groups of these are in this room. How are we going to engage the others? So I have homework for you. You knew that was coming, right? You go to school, you get homework, right? Brainstorm 3 ways that you'd like to engage some of these stakeholders.
We're not doing that now, we're doing it.
3 ways.
You're gonna do that for homework. You can send, can they send them to you, Clayton? Okay, send them to Clayton when you come up with 3 ways.
These are the stakeholders.
And any more that you can think of, and anybody who wants to take a picture of the list of stakeholders. I should have suggested that earlier, that there's note taking, but today there's also picture taking. I took pictures of 2 things before I came in case I needed them. So-
Hiring employee.
Here's an example, and this is kind of,
And so we'll probably just hold this on a spreadsheet without names on them, right? Or do you want names on them? Do you want it to come with names, or do you want it to come just as a pilot suggestion?
my suggestions is great.
Yeah, I didn't hear it. I have pictures of it.
One of the wacky things I thought of, and I love thinking of wacky things, because then everybody will tell me how nuts I am, and then they'll start saying, but if you did it this way, it might. Right, one of the wacky things I thought of was having the kindergarten teachers design their own room.
Mhm. I've done that before.
Uh-huh,
Ask me.
okay. And then I thought about having them build models.
Yeah, I've done that before too.
Okay, give them each shoebox, and have them put in the things they want.
Brainstorm.
All right. So what about these stakeholders? You got some more?
No, I was talking out loud because I was making a note to myself on my phone.
3 ways to
And I hate to admit,
engage
okay,
some more of
3
these stakeholders.
I think what we'll have is we'll have Beth, I'll send it up, send it around to the group as a written homework assignment.
That's a great idea.
Okay,
Thank you.
no, you're gonna do it. You're gonna send it to me, and then you're gonna send it to me, and then I'll send it to them, and then I'll do anything.
Okay. Notice I'm writing it down because my brain can be a soup.
There you go. I might do it on my own.
All right. So what are the things that you value for students here? I was a Girl Scout. And Girl Scouts don't take the same litany that Boy Scouts do. But even then, we had honesty, loyalty. The key word lately is integrity. Liking yourself. What are the things that you want the kids who go to this school to come out with? What are the things that it's important to you that this school value and that the kids see our values? Don't say it out loud, but if you have a pencil or a marker or whatever, come write a different one in a bowl.
It's a nice map.
If you don't want to get up, you can ask your neighbor to do the same thing. There's a pen and a couple of pencils.
You can have it back. I'll write it.
Right in the bowl, oh, okay,
Mhm.
1 per bowl.
Yep, one
Okay.
per bowl. If we run out of bowls, then we'll have to combine. Yours, yep, yep.
Make sure I'm not picking the same one as everybody else.
If yours is the same as someone else, you can just go put a star on theirs.
Sent you the balance.
Sure.
I don't know, Don, anyway.
My oldest daughter. Yes.
Oh, you?
Yes, you can try that one.
And as long as your legs don't mind it, don't sit down.
What?
Did the pencil work?
That's not very well.
Okay.
Dave.
Yeah.
Oh, but each of these means something.
Now, this is an
Yeah.
archery.
Oh, there it is. Yep, thank you.
Showing up.
What's the red one do? Will that show up?
Red one, where this one is pretty faint.
Got it. All right, don't sit down, folks, because I think some bowls don't have words in them.
You want to add more?
Yes, please.
Yes.
Well, that's what I want. Need the regular.
Sure. One big one.
Megan.
Have we got something in each bowl yet?
I wasn't. What? I have to stand?
Somebody's writing for you.
That's the man.
Although we're gonna need it and move it around in a moment.
Oh, we looked at the bill.
Yeah.
Okay, we got something you need full, more or less? All right, you might have noticed I just gave you a whole bunch of tax money there on the table.
Thanks for the donation.
Help yourself. Grab some tax money and put it in the bowls you want to pay for.
Sorry. That's all right. Now, what are we supposed to do?
Put your
Money.
You
Need a lot of money.
Put your money where your mouth is. That's what we're all
Is there a limit to
I don't do it all, but I like them all.
What I put down doesn't need any money.
So.
No, what I see is-
We might not need money, but we can pay to have it.
I think it's a response.
I know. Canadian money. I thought he's a broken or something.
That's Ecuador.
What are we doing, gambling?
Either one of those notes.
No.
That's part of the product.
Bad influence. I drive one.
And right.
And somebody will learn.
So we want to do one check. Okay, good.
Spend it.
I just figured we had something.
There's no limit. Put more in there. I had to see what the left word said.
And it's not fair to someone else's.
Well, the government takes it.
Oh, we got some Canadian.
I know, I don't know where that.
All right, I'll bring you mine.
We're just kind of throwing money in buckets.
Brazilian family here?
No, didn't make it on there.
character maybe?
Yeah, it could be. Yeah. Yeah, I guess, yeah, you can like, if you really don't like one, you can dump it in another one.
Globally, that way.
Hey, look at this.
I know, Rock, the tasty ones.
Woo. You know. I'll get it. Don't get up. I'll get it.
These is a lot of access, like, maybe we can build a gambling casino.
See how they're gonna be paying. Paying us off.
Straight across, John.
Endless supply of money.
I like my mother-in-law.
I like a big.
Have you put that in favor of Darwin also?
Wait,
Thank you.
when? Is it already, did you already get it?
Hey, Robbie, don't take any out.
Is it, Like, I'm pretty much
That's the rule. All right. You're one of our numbers people, right?
Don't tell me to count.
Yes.
I know where that was.
I'm not good at it.
I guess.
And tell us where people are putting their money.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll tell you that.
That's easier.
It's all in the middle of the table.
Beautiful cat.
And who else is numbers? It's Dave and Doug, right? You both said
Oh.
numbers.
Right here,
Lance's numbers, guys, but he's not physically. Lance's.
right here, this is the,
That's a heavy one. What do you, how much is in there?
a lot,
Can you give us an estimate?
Good at math.
50.
See, how much do I owe in income tax?
We could double.
A lot.
For this many people. But,
What's this one worth?
oh, I just counted those as one.
What is it?
I don't know, can't read.
One more?
25 cents round. 1982.
Is it American?
No.
It looks like a loony.
No,
Was
it's
it?
not. It says church, no, choke cheese.
Chuck E. Cheese.
So what's the value? I mean, you all that.
This is great, even though it's just a 25 cents.
You all.
Oh,
You're all that money.
I drove her wrong.
People are willing to pay for.
Trust, they can't buy it.
You know, I don't think trust came up on anybody's discussion earlier,
But that got a lot.
and yet it's clearly what you value, right?
That's what we value teaching our kids.
Spend a lot of money, go ahead, right, look,
That's number 2. Yeah.
Strong work ethic.
and I'm not sure that came up earlier.
They're offshoot.
Molly, are you
This
writing
one-
this down?
This one
Great.
is, this one is another one.
Then another
Service.
page one in there?
Service to the community.
Service to the
That's what-
community.
that's what it's good.
How much money's in there?
Well, I don't know.
Figure they're each $1,000.
40,
What's that?
40? Okay,
No, that's.
50 was there, 40's there.
so we've got trust, we've got strong work
This is
ethic,
actually 35.
got service to the community. Okay. This
You're
one.
gonna find a certified audit statement regarding all.
It's close enough.
I don't know.
There's not a material amount in here anyway, so.
Oh, it's,
Canadian?
There's a bunch of losers.
All right, give us a total of what's in your bowl, would you?
Yeah, I know, it's like nobody.
Give you two, is that one?
Good. Pretty right.
Very good.
I'm gonna-
Better driving, so,
A lot more. I know.
So what do you do with the one?
you're all concrete.
When people were putting each other with anything, were they thinking that accounted for a lot more?
Oh, yes.
Number 1.
What is it?
No, so it's divided.
Are we back?
Which is like 20 cents.
20 pence.
Yeah.
Is that from England or Canada?
Canada.
That's what
Or your
Let's say it's.
standard, so this is what-
Where do you see? Queen Elizabeth.
Yeah. this is from-
Elizabeth's the second.
You know, speaking of stakeholders, I don't
This
think we
one-
have
this
foreign
is the
countries
Louis.
on.
See the aluminum?
Yeah, there you go.
There's aluminum, it's called a loony.
Money.
Right.
Okay.
So that was Elizabeth, what's that one? Is that a Frank?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a Frank.
Magic one.
Frankly, these are the Frank. So they're worth a lot more money.
Okay.
Well, that was
You got 25 cents there.
Oh,
You got 14 cents.
Even ten bucks more.
Actually.
I hear a comment. Is
Huh?
that 5 pence? What do you think?
We're all.
It says five and it says pence on it.
Yeah, I haven't.
Yeah.
Wait, are these, do they count more? Or
Pence or
that are
peso?
different?
That wasn't decided.
Should they come on?
Sure.
They shouldn't,
Oh.
the people putting them in there didn't know
I
that.
know, we don't know that. We didn't do it at the beginning.
All the infiltration.
They're changing the rules.
Well, one of the things that I want to bring up just as a quickie, and then we'll move past it, is that no matter what you do, there are hidden resources. There are people that you haven't thought of who would like to contribute. And foreign countries might be among them. Agencies, Danville Heroes, alumni, not just of Danville, but of Danville's farms. Thaddeus Stevenson's family What other things way outside the town might want to contribute to this school project?
The United Nations,
Yes. Yes.
if we get a lot of refugees.
How about the churches? How about the Dowsers? Anybody have a point in there that they think could have come from the Dowsers?
I don't think the Dowsers would be able to contribute.
And
They're
they're
pretty tight, their budget is not strong.
Is there
So-
something without, that isn't financial that the Dowsers?
Well, the
can contribute?
Dowsers, you could have a Dowser that maybe was raised in Paul Seminary, I think, founded the
Yeah.
Dowsers. So you could have somebody who might have been a Dowser who might come in. The organization itself, I'm not certain, but an individual Dowser could.
Okay. What about finding water sources?
Water sources.
Mm-hmm,
1,000.
mm-hmm. What else can Dowsers find?
Gold.
The truth,
Or
It can be.
gender,
nothing.
So if your solution fits people's values, they will listen to you. And they will help to make something happen. What are the values you've got? Let's just find out how much money, how much taxpayer money went into each of these values. Would you start?
Sean,
I got 28 cents and 1 toonie in foreign aid.
All right, and what's the value?
28 cents.
No,
No.
what's written in the bowl?
Oh, I'm sorry, honesty.
Honesty, okay?
Did you count, everything is just one?
yeah, one.
Yeah, 1
Okay.
toonie.
I had strong citizens was 14 and independent was 10.
Nice. Clayton, what have you got?
I have 17 on compassion. And I'm globally aware, I have 22.
Nice.
I have 55 plus 1 Chuck E. Cheese on trust.
And you have the highest number, right?
Everything.
Would you have expected that trust would come out the highest?
No. Not necessarily.
But in this room it did. Okay, food for thought.
I have 16 for intellectual curiosity,
Nice.
32 for empathy.
Nice.
22 for character,
What was it, Mary? 22?
22.
I had 25 for the pride as is represented there. And I have a loon. No. Oh, this is a Canadian, oh, it is a loon, yeah. And I have a Frank.
I think we can count you one more for
No.
each of those.
It's a euro, actually. It's a euro.
I've never seen a euro. So let's up your number to 24. Right? You're 22,
Well, it's 25 here,
25 there and
and
two
then
more,
plus.
27 altogether. And the value is in the
Oh.
bowl of the words in the bowl,
Oh, it's a pride
right?
as represented by those words up there.
Great.
14. For good, productive citizens for our community.
26 for critical thinking.
41 for service to the community.
Nice.
44 for strong work. 29 for kindness.
26 for contribution to society. Contribute to society.
Contribute to society. Okay, so what you just did is when we talk about put your money where your mouth is. I mean, admittedly, this didn't look like the tax money that was in your bank account. But still, it was money. And you just voted most highly of all for trust. So when you tell people about your project, it might be true that they will be most interested in it if you show them how your project leads to or is based on trust. Does the community trust you? Do the kids trust you? Do the parents trust you? Are you teaching kids how to trust or how to test trust? What else was a really high ranking value? What do you have, Molly?
Let's see, we had, what was the big one? 32 was empathy. 44 was strong work ethic. Highlighting them, let's see, 28 was honesty, 41 service to the community. Then 29 kindness. Empathy, we had, I think the lowest scoring one was independent.
So how would you demonstrate to an outside stakeholder or to the community that what your project was doing would reinforce a strong work ethic? Look how high it scored. Yeah,
So I have a question regarding that is. We have 55 votes for trust, but how many people do we have in here? So were people able to throw in more if they wanted to?
Mhm.
Okay,
Did you hold back from doing that? Did you just put?
I
one
just
in?
put one in each.
Yeah.
I was thinking, no, that's what I should be doing. And then if I didn't think of something, I would do it.
I took 4. I only took 4.
Okay,
I was just curious.
do you want to take more from the table now and put it in some of the bowls? You're welcome.
We're trying to.
Okay.
Well, yeah.
So here's something that doesn't get talked about much. When you finalize your plan, when you come up with the plan that you think is the best one, your job is not to sell the plan. You can't sell a plan to a community. Your job is to gather supporters who will move it forward. Just like tonight, we were trying to move this group forward in terms of planning. And if we take you as a fair sample, I mean, you might be kind of above the average age of citizens overall. Unless Danville is an older town than I think. But that's partly to do with who's got the time to come to evening meetings.
Hard to tell.
Yeah, okay, but if we take this as a sample of what the town values, then you going out to them and saying, we're gonna have 10 square feet per student. We're gonna have a faculty to student ratio of 5 to 1. Those may not be the things that people embrace and move your plan forward for you with. Because you just proved that what you care about is not those first.
We weren't spending our own money. It's just like, I'm spending, anybody's money. I don't know where it came from.
That's
So
kind of
it's
what
something
you
the school
do.
board would say, yeah, we need this here. And where we're gonna get it from, doesn't matter. Find the money where it is.
Is that kind of what a town does?
Don't know. It's just, it's hard to spend other people's money if you're not willing to give it up yourself.
Mhm. I'm giving all this tax money to Rob, by the way. Because he brought the supplies.
What does that represent? The excess, is
What do
that,
you think?
is that deferred maintenance?
What else could it be?
That's unheard voices.
Unheard voices? I could go for that.
Endowments.
Mhm. I think it also shows that you don't necessarily spend every dollar that's on the table. Yeah,
Well, I think it also can, and not to pick on John or Dave, but it also can represent, sometimes people don't understand where their taxes are going. Like John
Nice
thought,
point.
and I had asked him 3 times about the assignment, otherwise I probably would have done the same thing John did, just put a penny in,
yep.
so.
And that suggests I wasn't clear enough.
And I mean, even though I'm not on the school board anymore, I still have people come up to me asking me how much this project's gonna cost. You know,
Mhm.
so
Mhm.
we don't know, because we're still in the early stages.
So on that note, also, that money could be money that is generated by the AOE that does not come from this community, of which there is a large portion.
Mhm. Which was kind of what I was trying to suggest by instigating some foreign coins in there also. Yeah. So,
Something I've been trying to sort out on with Bruce's point is, at what point, the 70 million was way too much. At that point, almost everybody was telling me we need to close the high school. At what point the conversations change and opinions change? At what level of a tax increase? I think we have our values. At what point do those go out the window and people say, it's too much? I'm just gonna say no. Or, you know what I'm saying? Like,
so have you asked the community that?
and we don't know that. I don't know that from the community. At what amount do they start saying we want to close the high school? At what amount do they say, I'm just gonna say no?
It's like sticker shock.
Yeah, right. And how much will that relay to a bond vote in actuality? So that's the information I feel like I need as a school board member.
Mhm.
From the community. I think we all represent parts of the community, but in terms of where their views are or what they actually can pay, that's the information I feel like I don't have right now.
Mhm. Good. So I've been corresponding with one of the legislators the last couple of days. I won't put him on the spot right now by saying,
He's been to one of our meetings. It's fine.
yeah, but I said, what about people who can't afford this? And, could the state come up with a way to give money for taxpayers who can't? And he said, well, the state can't, but there's no reason there can't be a philanthropy fund. Could Danville have a philanthropy fund where anybody who says, can't do the extra 1,000 for what you're asking, could come in and you would say, okay, we'll pay your extra 1,000 for the next 5 years. So what you offer people will affect how they decide what their limit is for what they're gonna pay. If I told you that you weren't gonna have to pay any taxes for the next 10 years, but you were gonna have to show up here for 2 weeks every year and teach the most rebellious of the 9th graders. Could it be a fair trade?
He lived in his house before.
The problem with that scenario is, I don't think you can legally stop people from paying taxes along the basis that you're doing. I've been working as a lister now for a year, and it's very regulated, and there's a lot of different ways that taxes are deferred because of income or property tax.
Right.
So to a large degree, if you have somebody out there who has difficulty paying, they will get credit on their taxes when they file an HS 122 form with their taxes in the beginning of the year. If they can't get it, they won't. The taxes in Danville between I can't read the terminology is, but where you put your farmland out and you're not going to develop on it. I
In
can't-
use, that's what I use.
Current use, thank you. It began with a C, but beyond that, I forgot. Current use, and then you have the income, so you could have a very nice home in town that's not paying a lot of taxes. And you could have a home that is, a standard ranch is paying the full boat based on whatever's going on. So, you're not going to be able to say, I won't pay taxes for 10 years if I teach kids, because it's not realistically going to happen.
Right. But what you can do is if Bill Gates owns a second home here, you can say, Mr. Gates, would you please subsidize the taxes for the 100 taxpayers having the toughest time this year?
And he'll say, what's my return on investment? And then we're in a public-private partnership, which I think we would definitely not want to be getting involved in.
No,
Yeah.
I don't think he's gonna say, what's my return on investment, because he's not saying
Well,
that
maybe
for the
it's worth
money
a
he's
shot.
putting into curing malaria in Africa.
You could say it's worth the shot. Oh, he does. But that's a different ballgame. So I think that what you're saying, John, obviously just going back to how it is really regulated. And they're looking at all the income brackets, and obviously if you're talking, Beck, he's like the education guru, education fund guru, and he knows it really well. But I think it's just the realities of really coming down to if we, as intended, come up with a plan on numbers, obviously we don't want to go asking people, what can you do? What can you do? Because we're never going to get anywhere. But obviously just coming up with a plan on numbers, here's what it is, here's the vision, this is the deal, these are the numbers, like that's obviously our next step. We need to make that happen. And yeah, I guess it's just how we get there, right? That's
Just
the big
one way.
thing.
There are a
Yeah.
couple other things that you can do. One is to specifically ask the community what they think a replacement school is worth to them. And you have a pretty strong rejection of 70 million, right? 75 million.
Yeah.
70 if it's just repairs, 75 for new construction. Are the numbers right?
Whatever they were, yeah,
Okay.
numbers that vast were,
So you have a
Yeah.
pretty strong community rejection of that,
I would say so.
right? But you're allowed to go back to the community and say, suppose we could bring it down to 30. Would that be worth pursuing?
I think that's where I feel like we're stuck, is how we need to ask the community certain questions, and how are we going to craft that as a survey, like an actual tool? What's gonna be our tool for that? What questions are we gonna ask that are gonna give us the most information that we need? That's where I'm feeling like our next step is with this. I don't know about other people, that's where you're feeling like we're at.
And I think in that is obviously gonna prompt a lot of question with regards to, well, okay, the money and what's that gonna give us?
Right.
And even just getting into the numbers, the pupil numbers and the younger grades that need the bathrooms, like they're gonna wanna know the details of if they
Right.
do this, what is it
Right.
giving? So,
Yeah, they're gonna need information to make an information-based decision.
Right.
Part of it too.
right,
Yeah.
like putting that together enough where they can be informed
Right.
to make it.
Right.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Rob and then John?
We've been going on the assumption that we're going to have a new school and it's a one big shot deal. I'm thinking that we learned from that experience. We need to back way up and say, this may be in small steps. And it may be looking at the greatest needs for deferred maintenance and for programming. We start with a little step and we move in a direction that's positive, that we can afford. And then we grow enthusiasm, interest, whatever, from the community by them observing us making these small steps. That would address these conditions. Over the next year.
My concern in regards, and I was listening to you by the way. My concern in these discussions is that we want feedback from the community. And that means that this group, which is, as you say, a very finite amount of all the people that we are looking at, needs to hear from those people. And probably the way to do that is to do a survey. But, and this is purely opinion, which I would hope I'm wrong about, but my concern is you're not going to find out an answer to your question until you do a bond vote.
Right.
When you do the bond vote, you're gonna know, because then people are voting, and the problem is, it's going to be a guesstimate as to what this community will support and not support. And that's the scary part, I think, of this entire process.
We have some other routes. And one is to have a focus group type meeting. Right, a number of tables and maybe you rotate tables and you have people talk about things and give you their conclusions. That's a smaller segment of the community. But it often will tag you the people who are most intense about improving things. It won't necessarily tag you the people who hate everything on principle.
So can I respond?
Please do.
Okay. I agree with you. But there was something on the ballot at town meeting asking, should we vote for Australian ballot? And because of the charter of the town, it had to be done at town meeting. The Australian ballot last year, because of COVID, got over 700 votes. Am I accurate on that? I think 724.
740, close to 800.
Okay, close to 800.
Out of 1750.
Yeah. you had in town meeting, what, 150 people?
130.
What?
30 voters.
130 voters. And of course, those 130 voters voted to continue town meeting and not to do Australian ballot. Because they are the people coming in that support town meeting. They're there because they support it, yet the involvement of the community was far greater with Australian ballot.
So
Let
let's,
me, and I'll finish
go
my
ahead,
point.
sorry.
So my concern is, I think what you're saying is wonderful. I think people should do it and all of that. My concern is that the level of representation that you're going to get is going to be for the people that are potentially supporting the school or doing something. You're gonna get a different view of that, and you're not gonna know really what the town thinks, I think, until you put it to vote. And I think you can try to make an educated guess, but it's like, we had it on Australian ballot. If people wanted an Australian ballot, they could have come in, they didn't do it.
So what I'm hearing you saying is, the bottom line is whether people will vote for this, and you won't actually know whether they'll vote for it until you lay the vote out in front of them.
I believe
Yeah.
that is true. I would also say that I hope there's a way to not make that true. It's not like I think that's good. I think that's very bad.
So let me backstep, because what I said a couple minutes ago was, you cannot sell the plan.
Right.
You can only get people who are willing to advance it. So whatever plan you come up with, whatever the dollar number in it is, it's got to have supporters behind it before it goes
Yes, I
to a
agree.
vote.
I agree.
Right, there's a participation level that you can ask for people. You can say, who will come sit on the committee? And you get the people who are most willing to do that and back it up, who might come to your focus group, and that might be someone who might respond to a survey. And then who might vote,
Mhm.
and then who might make an educated vote. And that's the distance that you have to cover is who might vote, who might make an educated vote. And so if you have a place where people are gonna ask, this is too much for me, this affects me too greatly, and you can clarify that because of income sensitivity, it affects you not at all. And that's but what the flip side of that is that this lands, whatever we choose, lands very heavily on very few homeowners and taxpayers.
Yes.
I think too, part of this is coming to terms with the realities that we don't wanna, that we have to address that are not pretty, and the vision. So when we first started this process pre-COVID, when Trox Collins' architect started working with the group, they had a similar conversation. I'd say most people in the town, most people who have a stake in the process would agree that what we walked away from that process with, which was more flexible spaces, windows, airflow, connection to the outdoors, most people would get behind. But I think we also have to figure out, how do we overcome the fact that, to put one window in this room is gonna be $5 million and a sprinkler for me. Right, like that's a big deal. That there are some specific issues with this building that cost a ton of money before we even start to touch them. And I think we have to figure out a plan for that, for how we can be economically efficient, or any vision really is tough to get behind. You're spending a lot of money on necessities.
And I feel like one of the realities is people are so flat out between working and life and kids and trying to, do some things they like to do, that I think what will start to happen is as we get closer to numbers, we'll see more engagement. Because then people are gonna come out and they're gonna be like, or whoa, okay, that sounds a lot better. So really it's like coming up with the numbers, which is gonna just automatically engage people once they start hearing it, because the word will spread. With regards to the hopes, I mean, like you guys said, I hope that people would come in and more people would be involved in it, but I just don't know the reality of that. We can certainly try and we should. It's just a lot of people are flat out. They're not gonna go there.
So there are ways to do that, and there are ways to meet what each of you has said. But none of them are simple. One way would be to say, we are experimenting as a group with spending only 45,000 instead of 70,000. And we're going to come out to 12 house meetings at these houses in these different neighborhoods. And you can come and tell us how that would work for you and what you would expect us to give up, as well as what you would value. Because your values as a group are really different. And you're into trust, you're into work ethic, you're into community. If the rest of the community is into those too, then maybe the only issue is how much they can afford, period.
And then at the end of the day, I think we're back to where Doug's saying is like a lot of it, bottom line is gonna be just, straight up cost. Because I think all of this stuff is happening, all of these values, as far as I can see, are in place and it's happening, which is amazing. And obviously that wants to be like retained and held on to, but a big bottom is, it's gonna be the bottom line. I mean, all of us are crunched unless some of you guys are way rich and good on you. Share some if you can.
So
I'm going there.
one of the questions that we're gonna ask next time relates to opportunity cost. And some of you will know what that is, and we'll talk about it and we'll take it in different directions. If we don't do this, if you don't find a way to change the building, what's going down the drain? Is Danville going to lose a high school? In how many years will that happen? And then if you say to the community, we have a reliable forecast that says, if we don't put a certain amount of money in, there will be no high school as of X year. And then you say, what would you be willing to absorb on your tax base to avoid that happening?
And some people would say, we want that to happen,
Mhm.
because there's definitely a
people would.
room for that, for sure. So,
Mhm. And that's part of why I was asking, what's it gonna look like in 50 years? Is there still gonna be a school there? Because certainly one of the cheap ways out of this is to just close the whole thing down, tuition all the kids out, and take whatever it costs to do that. But that's gonna let down your values, isn't it?
That's also not a cheap way to do
No,
this.
that's
expensive.
ask people
That's
to live in
that's
ascendant communities.
Kirby, ask people to live in
You have
Kirby,
no
that
control
won't
of
let
your
people with kids move in.
Your tuition goes up, and you have no control. You go and vote on your taxes in a certain town, but the send-in school can basically up to a limit, charge what they want.
So hold that as a possible idea, would be to get some people from towns that have no control of their schooling and have them do a public talk on it. How it has hurt, what they thought it would do, what it's gonna cost them to change it, if ever.
Well, they might not give us all of the answers because they might not then care about a dwindling population of young people.
I bet that you could find somebody from the select board in each of those towns who would speak to it.
It also kills a lot of those communities.
Yeah.
I bet someone in Peachum, and in Peachum, I think it would be someone from the school board. I bet someone in Peachum would speak to what has happened when they have no grade 7 and 8 or no high school.
I'm not thinking so much Peachum, I'm thinking more,
Kirby,
even Concord, we used to have a high school that closed it, Chelsea.
Walden.
Well, again, Walden, possibly, we could invite them. Because they have, some people do like having school choice.
Cabin is supposed to.
Yeah. Cabin is supposed to, so, yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna stop because we're at our time limit. And that's an honorable thing to do. We're sticking with those values.
I've got one question.
Yep.
All those who have money that is not penny, if you could put those.
He wants the big money over there.
Your table, I just like.
Okay.
Thank you.
All of the pennies home with you and reinspection just in case.
I got.
Did we have any?
Wow, that's for.
So, Beth, before we go to meeting planning, can I go briefly to public comment?
Yes.
There
please do.
was one public comment written in early on about 50 years from now.
Yes, Karina stated, I think in 50 years, there will be a public high school that serves a larger sector of the Northeast Kingdom, perhaps a public high school for St. J, Linden, Danville, et cetera.
Great idea.
It's in regional public school.
Right, regional high school, for the Northeast Kingdom. It was.
And that's a good idea, and it was actually thrown out by the education secretary when we were testifying before them about Act 46. She was suggesting a regional high school in Bloomfield, Providence, and Danville. But where do you put it?
But also that's going to meet with some resistance from the private schools. Yeah, generate a lot of.
We want to make sure we address.
open it up for public
Yeah,
comment.
so we're gonna open it, I need to open it up for open meeting reasons. If there is any public comment, now would be the time. Hearing none, moving on to future agenda items, which is, we're gonna continue with the moderated sessions. And I need to set a meeting date, and then Beth will send us the homework. So when would you like to meet, and where would you like to go? So this is a Wednesday. Are you, we were settled on monthly with a moderator, give us time to do our homework and time to work.
No.
So is anybody busy on April the 19th? 6 o'clock, April the 19th?
No,
That's the following week, right?
Yeah, this is the vacation we're in the following week.
April 19th.
No, Wednesday.
A Wednesday.
Wednesday, Monday, you have,
I might not be able to be there, but.
Yeah, actually.
Next one.
But don't, I can, you know. if you-
I gotta have 3.
You gotta have 3.
I've got them, but I don't need them.
Sarah can't do Wednesdays either.
Yeah,
right? She's
sure.
a class.
Oh, yeah.
So what about, so who can do Thursdays? Who can switch? I had some outs on, I had some hard outs on Thursdays as well. Did you have a hard out on Thursday?
I can do Thursday. Wait.
Madam, I've got the planning, the planning, commission, that thing is month. I think the third Thursday.
I think I'm on the third Thursday. So you guys want to go to the second Thursday? Okay, let's go back to the Wednesday previous to this Wednesday, which is the 14th.
12
Well,
or 20.
I'm in the wrong month, excuse me. My month's mixed up. So Wednesday, April the 12th. Can everybody check your schedules for April the 12th? Can you be a bit?
Oh, we're back to Wednesdays?
We're back on
Okay.
Wednesday, April the 12th instead of Wednesday, April the 19th.
Okay, I can't do Wednesdays anymore until May, so I'm gonna be gone on Wednesday nights until, but yeah, I can miss, it's fine. If we have a quorum, I can miss it.
Can you zoom in?
I coach,
So you got coaches.
yeah.
Sarah reminded me that Thursday's better for her, but not for Jim.
Thursday's better for her, but not for our board member who's missing tonight as well.
Last Tuesdays, did we already try Tuesday?
Tuesdays are usually meeting nights. Tuesday, the 11th,
Or 3?
anybody, Tuesday, April 11th,
Or do we want a full month at 18?
Tuesday, the 18th?
Either way.
I'm listening to suggestions.
I'm gonna be tough, I'm gonna be tough.
I'm gonna be tough too. I'm gonna have some real lack of availability.
Yeah.
for student folks.
I'm gonna be good the 11th and the 18th.
So why don't we set it for the 18th, 6 o'clock?
Sorry.
We'll set it for the 18th at 6 o'clock, and we'll go with that for our next moderated session with Beth, and we'll send around the homework, and then Molly will send around the notes so you can review them. And if you have any questions, let me know. Beth, you have any more questions for us? Any more homework for us?
I do. First, I have a question for you.
Please.
Did we move onto new ground? Did we cover any new ground or did we rehash old ground?
I think we looked ahead. In smaller steps than we did. So that's one of them.
Okay,
I think we took some baby steps. Which is better than spinning our wheels.
Yeah.
Like, you know, before we were crawling, now we're kind of.
Greg told me.
Did I say 18th? Said 18th.
Yeah, you said 18.
so what I have in mind for the next session is to talk about opportunity costs and other costs, to talk about strategies that involve other stakeholders, and to talk about building alliances. Because I don't think you can do this alone. I don't think any of us can do millions of dollars alone. And I think one of the things we've discovered is that the state is not terribly helpful. Okay, so that means we've got to have alliances with others. That's where we'll be going next time. Bring you 3 ways to engage other stakeholders, or we'll circulate it through Clayton.
You can send them in to me, or
Yep.
and then write them up.
And we're talking about engaging them around advancing our plan, is that what we're thinking about?
And,
All right.
and helping to form a plan.
Our ideas, not so much our
Okay,
plan,
alright.
because our plan, easy to say no to a plan as far as in our ideas.
And to get them in before you have a plan finalized.
Yeah.
Because if you bring them afterward, it's like, do you remember the story of Snow White? 12 people were invited and the 13th one wasn't. And she came in and cursed the whole thing. Okay, so we don't want a 13th fairy effect.
What? Say that again.
Sleeping Beauty, not gonna wait.
I'm sorry, it
Yeah,
was
yeah.
Sleeping Beauty. 12 people were invited, the 13th one wasn't.
Right.
And
Oh.
she was the one who said, okay, you're gonna prick your finger and go to sleep for 100 years.
Yeah, you told me to.
Right, so we don't want a 13th fairy effect happen.
All right, so we're gonna adjourn by consensus. Adjourn, we're just gonna adjourn by consensus for open meeting
I'll
law
move to adjourn.
for the board members. So we are adjourned, the meeting can stop. I just need to stop the recording at some point. So Molly can stop taking notes.